Hello, my name is Emily Lacourt, and I am going to be presenting my school's AUP document. I currently teach at Columbus City Schools. This is actually, I've used this, not this particular AUP document, but in other classes we were um, looking through AUP documents before, and this is actually the first class that I've been able to find Columbus City Schools AUP document pretty easily. Before, when you search it, the only thing that came up was a document from 2000. It was like 2009 through 2012. So it was severely outdated. It was missing a ton of stuff. But for the most part, I think this document that was recently written is very well written. It includes things that I think should be included. It hits all the main areas, things such as, cyberbullying, proper internet usage, social media usage guidelines, BYOD, internet etiquette. So, like I said, for the most part, I think it's very well written. The changes I made were only minor, nothing extreme. Before the additions, from what we read, it wasn't an AUP document. It's not always supposed to be the don'ts. You want to add the do's in there too, so the students don't just see the unacceptable behaviors, but they see the acceptable behavior as well and know what to work towards. Excuse me, I am sorry. I think the AUP document addresses many issues that are already in the Code of Conduct. When parents get this AUP document, it comes in like a big book that they have to go through at the beginning of the year. That's where they sign their picture release forms, field trip forms, everything like that. And this is also embedded in that book, so they have to read through it with their child and sign that they have read it. And we keep that on file at the school, which is nice. So in here, we see a lot of things in the AUP document. We see a lot of things that are also in that Code of Conduct book. Which is nice because it's constantly relating back to that and makes connections for those parents and kids. Parents also get to keep that handbook at home. The only thing we keep is the signed paper. So if they ever need to refer back to it, or if they have a problem with anything and need to bring it to the school or to me, they can do so. And all teachers have those on hand as well. Going through this document, the main thing I think I would say I changed was I added staff into this document. There's a lot of areas that didn't have staff included, which I think staff is a huge part of this AUP document. We are teaching and presenting all this information and using it daily. So I think staff should definitely be a part of this document as well. Another thing, in the terms of agreement, right away it says, in order for students to be allowed access to a school computer system, computer network, and the internet, parents, students, and staff must sign and return the consent form. Like I said before, this was all in a giant book, which is also available online for parents. So I did copy and paste from that book, and it was a PDF, so it didn't copy and paste that well. So at the end, you will see that the sign and consent form is not there because it wasn't copying and pasting very pretty. So I kept that off, but that is part of it. Like I said, that is what comes back to school, and we keep that at school, so we see that the parents and child have read through that. So just know that it's there, but it's not on my document. Okay, go back to the top. The first thing I changed, and staff. I just added and staff in there. So at the beginning of the year, all staff has to read through that as well and sign that and present that to either principal or keep that on file so everyone knows that we have read that AUP document as well. After terms of agreement, it goes into rules for network usage. I thought those were very well written, straight and to the point. I thought there wasn't much that was missing in that section. The next section we get to is BYOD, bring your own device. This was new from the old one. which this is great that this was added in because of the way, teaching's going. I know some high schools actually have, every kid has their own device, whether the school provides it or they bring their own from home. The one thing I added in this section was, as a student, I will adhere to the teacher who has discretion to allow and regulate the usage of computers, BYOD, or computer services in the classroom. That's just saying, the students know who's in charge, and whatever the teacher says, that's how it's going to go. Then it goes into internet safety. I thought that was well written as well. One thing that I did add in was personal safety. It didn't have much about that. I added personal safety. Be safe in using the computer network and internet. Don't reveal personal information such as your home address or telephone number. Kids often don't see the risk in doing these things, so they just throw everything out there. Do not use your real last name or any other information which might allow a person to locate you or find you without first obtaining the permission of supervising teacher. Do not arrange face-to-face meeting with someone you meet on the computer network or internet without your parents' permission. If you're under 18, regardless of your age, you should never agree to meet a person that you've only communicated with on the internet in a secluded place or in a private setting. This actually goes back to some of the videos that we watched for the discussion. We saw that the danger of this and how kids are so often doing this and so young. So I thought this was important to stick this in there so kids know not only how to be safe on the internet, but their personal safety as well. And then it goes into cyberbullying, which is huge these days. So I was very happy that Columbus City put this in here. Cyberbullying, an electronic act of bullying. They put that definition in there for the kids. It's defined as a situation when a person is tormented, threatened, or harassed, humiliated, embarrassed, or otherwise targeted using text messages, emails, instant messaging, or posting text or images by means of social media or electronic act. This is great for students to hear. This is great for teachers to have conversations with their students. A lot of times kids, don't know they are being bullies, or they just think they're being silly, but it's actually hurting someone else. So I think this is great. It's a great talking point for parents and children, teachers and students, and between teachers and teachers as well. Okay. Basic internet and network etiquette and safety rules. That the only thing I did for this one is I took some things out. Like I said before, we read that we don't always want to be putting in the don'ts. Don't do this, don't do that, but we want to be putting in the do's as well, so the kids know what they should be reaching for and how they should be acting. So I took out do not transmit or access obscene, pornographic, and I put in what they will do. I will have positive attitude and be willing to explore different technologies. I will evaluate and the validity of information presented online and understand there's nothing online is true, or not everything online is true, I'm sorry. I agree to document and properly cite all information. I understand that I'm prohibited from using technology to access or create anything which could be reasonably interpreted as obscene, offensive, pornographic, excuse me, or have no educational value. I just added that in there. I'm sorry. The next thing I did add, like I said, there wasn't a lot of staff in this document. Of course, all staff could relate to all the things that are in this document, but staff wasn't directly written in here. So I did add staff and volunteers and other uses are expected too. This is just a list of things. And some of them are simple, some of them are in depth, that teachers or anyone working at the school needs to be doing daily. Log out when not using computers. No student is to use the computer user under a teacher. So many times I will walk away, if we're in the computer lab, I will walk away with I'm still signed on. So I think that's important to remember. We keep a lot of things in there. We keep a lot of files, student work, and we don't want other students getting into that as well. Teacher, volunteer, other login and password information is to never be given to a student. Silly things like that. Like I said before, we have so many files and so many student student work and things like that we don't want other students getting into. Monitor student use. No student is to use the computer equipment unsupervised. Students are to use computers for educational purposes only. Students are not to have access to email, chat rooms, or internet chat programs. Students are not to download or print without permission from the classroom teacher. One thing that won't necessarily be true for all students is students are not to have access to email. To a certain extent, that works for Columbus City. All kids are now set up with a Google email, and that is the only one that we are allowing them to get on during the day. They can't go on their personal email and start emailing their friends or whatever they were doing at home using that email. They only can get on their Google Mail that they have with the school system. This is actually a huge one because of the BYOD. Kids are bringing their devices, from home, and only district purchase approved computer equipment will be tied to the network. If we're using equipment in the classroom, it has to be okayed by the district. They can't just bring a cell phone and sign on to our Wi-Fi. We have to we know that they're using that cell phone for school purposes, so everyone, not anyone can just get on our Wi-Fi and get on our network and use that stuff. Social networks, chat rooms, and email for personal safety. This was a huge one because I know so many teachers nowadays are using things like Twitter and Facebook groups and Google Classrooms and things like that to stay in contact with kids after school hours. So this was huge, and I was very happy that they had put this in. Staff and employees should treat professional social media space and communication like a classroom and or professional workplace. That's huge. And staff and employees should obtain their supervisor's approval using registration from the school form the school chooses before setting up a professional social media. I think that's very important. You need to talk to your principal. You need to make sure that it's okay. Make sure parents are okay with it. Talk to parents, see what their views are. I know some parents might not be okay with their kids being on social media, at a certain age. High school is getting about the age where all those kids have social media, but in middle school, they're still young, so parents might not be okay with that. So you might be okay using things like Google Classroom. Like I said before, staff wasn't included, so I did add something about what staff will do while using social media. For the most part, that was really all that I changed. Like I said, it was a well-written document. I don't think a lot of things were missing out of it. And it was I think it was very well written. Parents could easily understand it. Parents were happy to have it as well because of how much we're using this technology at school, and how much we're using it at home and BYOD. So it was nice for parents to see and have that in their hands at all times. I hope you enjoyed learning about Columbus City Schools AUP. Thank you.